I grew up in Westfield, Massachusetts, and I remember the quartet coming from Aurora to sing at our church. And it was Jim Crimmy and Deke Lidstone and Hewitt. No, I can't remember the other people that sang in the quartet. And when they sang, I said, "Oh, I'd love to do something like that." And 15 years later, I found myself doing it, which was kind of neat. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So because of the church affiliation, we did a lot of that kind of thing, and Norma's mentioned that she came from West Virginia, so we're representing 3 entirely different areas of the country. And that was enriching in the dorm life too, because people were here from so many different places. And being from Advent Christian background, most of us in the dorm, there were different things that girls did or didn't do, depending on where you were from. Like if you were from Florida, it was okay to square dance, for instance, but not where I came from. Where I came from, it was okay for us to all go swimming in the ocean, boys and girls together. From some other places, no. Separate times for boys and girls to swim. So there were a lot of interesting cultural things that we faced when we got here. I'd say that was a growth experience, really, to understand others.
Right, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of interaction between students and faculty members at that time, both at church and also Sunday evening times you were invited to their house, and there was,
Yeah, and
it was a parental feeling.
holidays too, when you
Yeah.
couldn't get home,
Mhm.
they would invite you in, like for Thanksgiving, you know, they'd invite
I
you in.
remember being at Dr. Stevens' house on Thanksgiving, and you were there,
Yes, yeah.
and I was at his house several times for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
In fact, I lived in their house for a while.
Oh, okay, I didn't
Yeah.
remember that. So.
Yeah.
When I started working for Dr. Stevens '54, the house on Marcelet had just been built, and he and Mrs. Stevens were out east for most of the summer. So people would come, visitors, alumni would come, and they would want to see the house. So I had a key to it, and took them on tour through the house and told them who helped with the decorating and so forth. So that was a big event. That was a big happening here to have that nice new house. And, so I remember they had the white bookcases and the green carpet, and it looked very New Englandish. It was wonderful.
And Vern Gilkey was the coach, and he had 2 boys, and I used to babysit them on occasion. And in fact, I became kind of an extended member of their family, which was very nice for me. Yeah.
And just to make a connection between people that we've known over many, many years, the Gilkeys were from Washington State, and when my father was called to be a pastor out there, Gilkeys were part of that church, and then many years later, here we all are in Aurora.
Yeah.
And connection in with Roger as well. It's just part of the wonderful experience of being from Aurora College.
I feel that I have become an entirely different person by having been here, because just the associations, the friendships, the opportunity to work with some wonderful people through the years, to see how they function, how they address problems, their dedication to the college, that just made me a different person.
I'll tell you about a couple of faculty people that are meaningful to me to this day. And one was Ethel Tapper. She was librarian, and I worked in the library for 35 cents an hour when I started. I got a raise the second year. But she had a rule that we could only be gone for our afternoon break for 7 minutes, and she would time us, and we would go to the Quonset Hut Union building there in the middle of campus, and then we had to be back. She was in the window watching for us. She was kind of scary. But she taught for the first time when I was a freshman a course called Spirit and Mind of Western Man. I could not work that in my schedule, but she was so determined that I would benefit from that she asked me to do research on various subjects that would come up. I got to go on some of the trips as well. She did a lot of good things for me that I didn't even appreciate at the time, and I've appreciated later. And I guess the other one I'd like to mention is Moses Krause. I took Advent Christian History and Thought from him, and he was a wonderful person. He demanded a lot of us intellectually, and yet he was so kind. I had to do a term paper, and I got sick and couldn't finish it on time, and I asked for an extension, which he gave to me. And that particular paper, every time he taught that course for many years after, he asked me to come and read my paper, because I guess I was the authority on the subject I wrote about, so appreciate it.